One of the best athletes you could meet one-on-one because the man is real. He is as sweet as they come. It's none other than Lindsey Hunter. What's up, Linz?
Yes, sir.
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good to see you, man. Are you at the gym?
Not yet. I decided to wait. I'm gonna head there right after we get done.
All right, man. Hey, it's great having you. Former #1 pick of the Pistons, a world champion with the stinking Lakers, of course, and of course the Detroit Pistons. We'll talk about those Lakers later, Linz. But tell me what you're seeing, what you're enjoying. 7 straight wins by our guys, and I've been pushing the product now for about a month. I get down to Little Caesars a lot, and I love to watch this team. They have made me buy back into basketball. I'm so much enjoying watching this team play.
Yeah, I have too, man. And being able to call some of the games and do radio and some television with them, it has been enjoyable because the Pistons aren't your traditional, everyday basketball team because they play a little different. They play a brand of basketball that you can really look at and appreciate because they don't come down and just take an absurd amount of threes, which I love. They actually score more paint points than they do anything else, and I think that's kind of led by Cade Cunningham, his style of play. But I'm enjoying watching them, man, and I'm enjoying the brand of basketball that they play. And not to say they can't score. You saw the scoring eruption they had the other night. They scored 158 points against Atlanta. So they can score the basketball, but I do like the fact that they play a more traditional bruiser brand of basketball where they attack the paint, they post up. Tobias Harris has been one of the best post players, in the second half of the season in the NBA. And I enjoy watching them because I think it takes a different strategy than to just come down and jack up a lot of threes. And the Pistons have displayed that all year.
How about the growth of Cade Cunningham? I mean, you could call him a superstar already, man. It's there. He's got it all.
Yeah, Cade is, I think, the better pieces that are around him, I think you'll see more of his talents on display, and that's what we're seeing this year. They got more shooters around him now, and it's giving him space to really be who he's going to be, and that is a superstar, like you just said, Mass.
Lindsey, you were an instrumental backup point guard on 2 different championship teams, and we just watched the Pistons bring in a Dennis Schroeder who has day one basically become the backup to this team. What I've seen is a great veteran leadership and calm that he's brought to this team that they lacked. As much as I love Marcus Sasser, can you speak to what the addition of a Dennis Schroeder means to their playoff hopes for the Pistons this year?
Well, of course, I think he is an integral part because he's a guy you can put the ball in his hands and you can play Cade off the ball if he's in there with Cade. When Cade's not on the floor, he's the primary ball handler, and he makes great decisions. And he can, Schroeder can do everything. He can defend. He can distribute the ball. He can shoot. He can do a little bit of everything. And I think he was a perfect ingredient for this Pistons team going into the second half, trying to get better playoff positioning. You're going to need a veteran like that going into the playoffs because, the East is loaded. The East is loaded. I think the East is back to kind of being that dominant like we used to see back in the day with Boston being as good as they are, Cleveland surprising everybody, having the best record in the league, not losing the game at home. So you're going to have to the Pistons are going to try to position themselves not to meet one of those guys too early and try to steal one of these series early on.
Well, I'm glad you brought it there because we were just kind of looking at these 3 teams with the Knicks, who we'd be matched up with right now, a Pacers team that here everyone in Detroit wants to play, and, of course, a Bucks team that I don't love the matchup with. Of those 3 teams, who do you think the Pistons match up with best and would have an opportunity to get out of the first round?
The Knicks or the Pacers don't scare me. I don't want to see the Bucks. I don't want to see the Celtics. And I don't want to see the Cavs. Anybody else, I feel good about it. I think the Pistons can, give themselves an opportunity to steal a series from any of the other teams. But those 3 teams pose a lot of different problems. When you have a guy like Giannis on your squad who can take over a game, who can go out and get 50 and 20, that's tough to deal with. We don't have anybody that's capable of slowing him down. Now, facing the Celtics, that's just a problem within itself.
Sure.
And I think And I think Cleveland has proven that they are contender worthy. And they added Hunter to that squad from Atlanta. He's been magnificent off the bench for them, averaging just about 20 points a game. Um, they have two all-stars in the starting, well, three all-stars in their starting lineup. So they are formidable contenders. And those are teams you want to stay away from, until you're ready to step up to the big boy plate. And I think we're growing to be that. We're gonna have to add some things in the future to push us to that point. But I love where we are right now, and I think we are a team that nobody wants to see in the playoffs.
No, you don't want to see them. And the Celtics will be here tomorrow. That'll be a nice matchup. I know it's a regular season game, and Boston's probably not going to put everything into that game, but that's a big game for the Pistons. Are you going to be at that game tomorrow, Linz?
More than likely, I will be. And anytime you play a team that's won a championship, it's just, I've been on both ends of that. I've been on a team defending a championship, and everybody plays like it's the playoffs. So you get everybody's best shot, and I think Boston is the type of team that, I think they have the best starting five in the NBA. I think they have one of the best six men in the NBA. They are loaded from top to bottom, and it's hard for me to see anybody beating them in seven. They've spanked every team that's supposed to be contenders. They go send a message. They went to New York, dismantled the Knicks. They went to Cleveland, dismantled the Cavs. Everywhere they go, they make statements. And it's going to be a test to see, I think the Pistons will see exactly where they are.
I wish the NBA would go back to the first round, best of five. It's tough to win a best of seven, but a best of five, a lesser team can steal a best of five. You can't steal a seven.
I don't like that. I want the best teams to win. I don't want anybody sneaking in, stealing something like the Denver Nuggets did that year against Seattle. They stole that series.
That's Mutombo. That was Mutombo.
Yes.
I don't
Kemp,
like that.
right?
Against Sean Kemp.
Yes,
I remember that.
Yes. Give me the best of seven and let the best team win.
I don't know, man. Now, look, besides Cade Cunningham, sorry to cut you off there, Anson. Besides Cade Cunningham, I've seen a lot of growth out of this team. Asar Thompson Anson called him a Star Thompson. This kid is playing great basketball. I love Ron Holland, what he's bringing. And look, I wanted to draft Dalton Connect. I watched him in the
You're not
Elite
wrong.
Eight. I watched
wrong.
him. Yep, when he was at Little Caesars with Tennessee, I'm like, I want that guy. And I'll tell you, but Ron Holland, very impressive. And I love Jalen Duren.
Well, all those guys you've named, I think it took a little time for everybody to kind of find their niche. But all of those guys have accepted their roles, and they are flourishing in those roles. I think Ron Holland knows he's the energy guy. He's coming off the bench to defend. He'll score points when given the opportunity. Stewart has really embraced the role of being the do-it-all guy. I do whatever needs to be done out here. I may not score. He's not taking a ton of threes this year, but his role has been so significant because less is more with him. He's making sure he's the enforcer. He's setting the screens. He's blocking shots. He's doing all the things that don't really show up in the stat sheet, but he's making a big difference. And Jalen Duren has been a double-double monster. He is developing into something that we all wanted him to be, and that's a force inside as well as, defending the rim. All of those guys, man, are really, really settling into their roles, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. Basketball is fun again, and I love it because I really can identify with this team because of the way they play. If you look at the NBA and look at all around statistics, you see Boston Celtics are taking 53 threes a game.
Yeah.
Atlanta Hawks are taking 45 threes a game. Yeah. It just, to me, and this is my own personal pet peeve, it doesn't take much strategy to jack up a bunch of threes.
No, it doesn't. They're like the little pit bulls, man. They're like the little pit bulls.
Right. It just doesn't take much strategy. And I think everybody fell in love with this West Coast, Oakland, Steph Curry era. That's different. Everybody isn't that guy. Everybody didn't have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson that you could live with them jacking up a lot of threes because they're going to make them.
Heck yeah.
But I think the league has went too far that way, And I think with the combination of changing the rules defensively, uh, the analytics saying we want threes and layups, all of those things combined has made the league a little different. And I think it went too far. I think taking some of the defensive advantages away has made the game too free flowing. I think you need a little roughness in the game.
Amen.
And I think they're trying to get back to that. Watching the games last night, it was a lot rougher than it normally is. They swallowed those whistles a lot, and I love that. Mm-hmm. I'm a guy that fouled every possession, so I love that.
I love
No
that.
doubt. Coming from a guy that played with Bill Laimbeer and Isaiah and Joe, as well as won a championship with the Going to Work Pistons, some of the hardest hitting guys that we've ever seen out there. You mentioned Isaiah Stewart, and we also talked about 3-point shooting in the NBA now. Beef Stew, we see all these big guys in the NBA want to shoot the three, and we saw a lot of that from him last year. What we've seen from him this year, as you mentioned, I have to tip my hat to JB Bickerstaff. And what he's done is found the roles for everybody on this team, and they've all embraced them. We started the show off talking about his chances for the Coach of the Year. At this point, at the end of February, who is your Coach of the Year in the NBA?
Man, there are a few guys that have really, I think, made a tremendous difference in teams when you look around, but Bickerstaff is right at the top of that list because, like you said, he is brought in, and we got to tip our hat to the GM. We have to. Trajan Langdon went out and identified the type of players that he wanted to build to start this thing over. And from day one, he didn't rush the process. He let everybody know this is going to be a slow process. We're going to make sure we build it the right way. And I think it's taken off faster than even he could have imagined. But he has put the right pieces around Cade Cunningham. And those guys have bought into Bickerstaff's system. And we're seeing the benefits of it right now. So I think the credit goes across the board from the GM to I would even say Tom Gore's having the wherewithal to say, hey, I messed up. I made a $100 million mistake. I'm going to fix it. And whatever comes of it, I'll take the blame for it. And he did a great job of, starting from scratch and hiring these guys and letting these guys do what they need to do to make this organization relevant again. And I'm happy that, Detroit is now a sports town where everybody's thriving. We got a young team here. We got a young Lions team. The Tigers are doing well. The Red Wings are doing, and it's a great time to be here now.
Hell yeah.
I believe the word you were looking for when it came to Tom Gore's was cojones, and I'm glad that he
Yeah, I
found
was
them
gonna
this-
say that. I just
I'm glad he found him. But all right, I'm going to switch over to fan because I've been a fan of you since I was at the Palace in 1993. Got a chance to
Long
see
time
you
ago.
get drafted. You still look great though, my friend. I want to
trying.
know what it was like for you and Alan Houston to come here to Detroit, to kind of be anointed as the successor to a Hall of Fame Isaiah Thomas, as well as Allen being the successor to a future Hall of Fame Joe Dumars. Talk about the responsibility that you felt on your shoulders, the weight that you felt, and how you were able to craft your own career, a two-time champion.
Well, I think we didn't have a clue of what was in store for us, and we didn't know what we were walking into. Of course, I was always deemed the next Isaiah Thomas, and I've looked up to Isaiah since I was a kid because I was a small guard. So my dad told me I couldn't play like Magic Johnson. And so I started emulating Isaiah Thomas, and I wore number 11 in high school and in college. I watched his tapes back when they had VCR tapes. I had VCR tapes of Isaiah playing in the summertime. So I emulated him my whole life. So getting to sit down and actually be a teammate of his and be mentored by him, man, was fascinating for me. I had a tremendous rookie year under his tutelage. I just think, when you start learning the business of basketball and seeing all the things that transpired in Detroit, our rookie year was a bunch of turmoil. So we had to deal with a lot of that stuff, and we learned on the fly. But it was fascinating for me being around Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, guys that I had watched in the NBA Finals, and now they were actually my teammates and guys that were speaking into my life and teaching me things about the game. And I think I attribute that to me being able to play 17 years in the NBA, a 6'2" guard from Jackson State, which, is very rare. So I took those things to heart, and I really learned a lot from those guys. Even Bill Laimbeer, his short time here with the Pistons that I got to experience it with him, he surprisingly, because all the things you heard about him, he was a jerk. But, other than kicking the balls in the stands and making me and Allen go get him at practice, that was the one thing that I still regret about him this day. But he really grabbed us and he talked to us about the life of basketball players. And I'll never forget that.
Hey, Linz, I know everyone wants to be the first guy picked in the draft, but back in '93, did you have a team that you wanted to go to?
Well, so I always, how they glorified the Lakers, right?
Of course.
We were just talking
Everybody, it was the Showtime Lakers. It was palm trees. It was every time they came on, everybody was watching. So I was like, man, I would love to go to L.A. and get a convertible and drive down, Sepulveda Boulevard and Redondo Beach, So
you got your chance.
And it's crazy, huh?
You got your chance later in life.
Oh yeah, later on, but I would have liked it when I was 21.
Yeah, sure, man. I don't blame you. The Laker girls, Paula Abdul. Come on, man.
Boy.
Well, the crazy thing about it is, I visited. I worked out for the Lakers, and I'm sitting there with Jerry West, and he's telling me he's going to draft me. He was like, "Yeah, we're drafting you. You're going to be our starting point guard.
Wow.
We're going to move you out. We're going to move you out here a week after the draft, and we'll have everything." I'm sitting there, and I'm blown away. I go back to the hotel room, and lay on the bed with my Laker hat on, and I called my dad, and I was like, "Hey, we're going to L.A." Little did I know the Pistons had other thoughts, but it worked out for the best. I'm glad I came to Detroit. I wouldn't change it for the world because this is home for me, and I've since day one when I got here, everybody made me feel like this was home, and as you can see, I never left.
Yeah, we love that you call yourself a Detroiter and you lay your head here
Definitely.
in Metro Detroit. I got two more questions for you. I want to go back to 2004. You get traded to Boston for Mike James. Did you know what was happening? Did you know you were coming back to Detroit? How did you feel during that time? And how did you feel when you came to Detroit after all of the deals had happened? Did you know you were getting cut and had a chance to come back to Detroit? How were you feeling at that time?
I'm not supposed to say this, but yeah, the whole thing was already worked out.
Yes! I've been wanting to know that for a decade, my friend.
The truth comes out.
Hey, man, you're safe, man. I think you're safe by now, brother.
Yeah, that whole thing was already worked out. I knew I was going to Boston. They were going to buy me out. But I was happy because I was getting two deals. I was getting bought out. I got that money, then I was getting a new deal. So I was like, man, I'm double dipping.
with a ring to boot.
I got the double dip for one time. I see how those guys feel. They get the double dip. So that was good for me. And the fact that we came back and we acquired Rashid, and everything changed after we got him, man. I tell people all the time that Sheed and I are closer than anybody else, and we were like two old men that were totally polar opposites. We argued about, fussed about everything, but we sat next to each other on the bus. We sat next to each other on the plane. Yeah, we were brothers, but we argued all the time. But that was my guy. And I tell people all the time. One of probably the most talented power forward I've ever seen in my life. Like, there's nothing on a basketball court that she couldn't do. Defensive wise, one of the smartest, sharpest guys. He transformed that team into a clear-cut championship team.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The acquisition of him put us over the hump, and we knew after we got him and we played about 5 games, it was like, oh, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, that was probably the best week that a Piston fan has ever had that I could think of. Honestly, it was unbelievable, and then to see you guys take it all the way. All right.
If he only covered Big Shot Bob.
Yeah.
Stop it, Maz. You had to ruin everything.
All right, so we
were all vibing, man. We were vibing, having a good time, and you have to go mention that crap.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
All right,
I got a question for you guys, and be truthful, be honest, because I know Maz didn't think so. Who thought that we were going to beat the Lakers in 04?
Me.
I did.
Me.
I said 5-game sweep.
I had money on it. The 5-game sweep. I'll tell you that game 2,
I don't know, man.
we lost in overtime. I was really worried that the Lakers or the referees and the league were going to take over that series. But one thing that I always do say about the 04 championship, the league lets you guys play. And we talk a lot here about how you can kind of manipulate a game and push it in one direction. If they wanted the Lakers to win, you'd have heard the whistle all series long.
Well, the thing about it, we were so good defensively. There were games that we didn't get the whistle, but we knew people couldn't score on us. Like, it was tough. Like, it didn't matter how many fouls they called. Like, you weren't gonna score.
No doubt.
So, and we had that confidence. And once we saw your game plan, we would go in the locker room and go, "Oh no, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work, and that's not gonna work. So what else do they have to do?"
That's right.
And
we had the Bulldogs. We had the Bulldogs too. The Pit Bulls, the Bulldogs.
Yes.
Which one
Pit
was
Bulls.
it? Was it the Bulldogs or the Pit Bulls?
Didn't matter. Pit Bulls, Bulldogs,
There you go. All right, so I've been
Rottweilers.
wondering this since we were kids. I need to know who was better, Pete Chilcutt or David Wood?
Flip a coin.
Okay, fair enough.
Flip
You're
a
not
coin,
putting anybody
but
on the
hey.
bus today, huh?
No, they both were good guys. I love David Wood, man. Hey, funny story. We were in Seattle, and we were walking out. They used to have the fans on the side when you walk out to go to the bus. And this little white kid had a David Wood card, and he had it in his palm of his hand. He said, "Hey, Mr. Wood, would you come sign it?" And Dave walked up to him, and the kid balled it up.
Oh man,
I'm going Ron Artest.
That's terrible.
Hey, I was in tears laughing so hard.
Oh, God. That's something he's got to live with the rest of his life, man.
That's hilarious.
Hey, last one, Lindsey. We kept you long enough. I didn't get the chance to ask you about the Lakers and Mavericks trade. And tonight, they meet each other. So
I'll be watching that too.
Who won that trade? Is it too early to know who won that trade? What's your whole take on that? I mean, that was a setup, right? NBA set that up.
I don't know if it's so much of a NBA set it up. I've heard so many things. I've heard the new owner was disgruntled about some situations, so she did something. It's all type of conspiracy theories out there about this trade. But I will say this: I'm good friends with Nico, the GM of the Mavericks, and I talk to him quite often.
He took a beating.
Yeah. And I just called him to cheer him up. I was like, "Hey, bro, it took some big cojones to make that trade." I said, but if Anthony Davis can get healthy and stay healthy, you guys probably are the second best team in the West, easily.
Agreed.
Real talk.
Agreed.
Yeah,
We'll see how
I
it
said
goes
so.
tonight.
Yeah, well, but they don't have their bigs. They got
No.
3 bigs that are out.
I know.
So those guys won't play. But when they're healthy, they're going to be a team to deal with. And if he can get a championship out of this thing, then I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
It'll be hard to ever, say he clean cut won that trade because Luka. It depends on what Luka does. If this lights a fire under Luka and he, gets himself in shape and takes the game serious defensively, and he can win some titles in LA, I don't know. We the future will tell us what will come from this trade. But I think if the Mavs can win a chip, he'll be fine.
Agreed, Liz. Agreed, man. Hey, I love hearing you with Mark Champion on the play-by-play. As a matter of fact, I wrote you during the game. I'm like, you're doing a great job, Linz. You're doing a great job. How you like doing that color commentary?
I love it, man. It's fun. It's fun working with Mark, man. Mark's a great guy.
He is.
Has a sense of humor.
He does.
He
is
does,
a ball
man.
buster. He's a quiet ball buster.
He is. And I, of course, he always talks about how I dislike every official that we've had.
That's the truth.
And here's another thing. I'm not a male chauvinist. I'm not a chauvinistic type of guy by no means.
Uh-oh.
I struggle with the women officiating.
Man.
I hear you.
They play a completely different brand of basketball than men.
I
Completely.
keep saying that, and it's no knock against the women. I love
right.
the women.
And men
It's just
probably
different.
shouldn't be officiating women's basketball because the
I
two
said the
brands
same
are
thing.
completely different.
Yeah.
I've been saying that for
I
years too.
said
I
the
love
same
hearing you say
thing.
it.
Yeah.
I
You're
said
not
the same
wrong.
thing. I'm like, Because sometimes there are certain things out on the court that needs to be handled a certain way. She may not understand that. This guy may have elbowed me in a certain way that didn't hurt me bad, but it hurt me enough for me to retaliate in a way that's not going to be flagrant. But I'm gonna do what I got to do out here. So sometimes you got to let the game within the game be played, and they may not understand that. And there's no knock against them. It's just different.
Real talk.
By the way, Lindsey, the chat wanted me to bust your chops because of the 49ers. They're laughing at you now because the 49ers are kind of fading.
I saw that.
They
What
still
was that?
blame you.
So-
They still blame you for the Lions losing in Santa Clara.
How is that?
First of all, I was the first guy that said the Lions were great.
Okay.
Right? Hey,
You
can I
were-
get an amen?
You were there. Amen. Amen.
All right.
Amen.
All right. I led the charge from these hesitant Lions fans who now are on the bandwagon. They were all afraid to jump in. They were like, "Oh, we're just not." Lindsey, you don't understand. I do understand. I know what a good team looks like. So while they're talking that trash, I'm still a Lions fan.
That a boy. We know that.
I got my Lions sweatshirt right over here.
There
We got you, buddy.
There we go.
We got you.
But I'm gonna tell you what went wrong when they had Jello perform at the game. Why would you have Jello perform at the Lions game? The dumbest decision ever made. Jello performing. What does he have to do with Detroit?
Nothing. Nothing.
Better off
Like
with
that was a
LeVar.
bad omen from the beginning.
Amen.
Jello.
Amen.
It's like, bro, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Thanks,
We
Lance.
got Eminem. We got Sada Baby.
know.
We got all these artists here, and we get Jello.
Hey,
Real
buddy.
talk.
No, you should have known it wasn't gonna go good.
Are the Lions going to win this year?
I hope so. To
All right.
redeem ourselves from Jello.
Stay away from Jello, Lions.
No, get Eminem. Get Sada. Get
Lindsey
anybody
Hunter.
but Jello.
Lindsey Hunter, former #1 pick of our Pistons. Of course, he joins us here on Woodward Sports plenty of times. #1 in our hearts always. 2-time NBA champ. Thanks, Lindsey.
Peace out, fellas.
Go work out now, my friend. Keep looking great.
Definitely. All
See
right.
you later,
man.
buddy. Oh, man, that was great.
That
love
was
it.
fun.
He was on
funny.
top of his game
Love it.
today.
It's weird when you wait 20 years to be able to talk to somebody and it happens. Because I was such a Lindsey Hunter fan. I was such an Isaiah fan. I read about him looking up to Isaiah just as he mentioned in the show here, and then getting a chance to have him come back for the 04 championship.
That was special.
He is a Detroiter.
Amen. Hey, we just gave you an hour of basketball, guys. I know a lot of people out there love it. A lot of people are like, come on, basketball?
Love it.
NFL Lions. Brad Holmes talked today. We're going to tell you what he said at the Combine. Combine starts Thursday in Indianapolis. You stay right there. We got just a couple of bills to pay. What do you got for us there, Pete?